Hey guys, Chris Neville here. I'm just out at the archery range right now shooting some arrows, and it got me thinking about some things that I've learned over the last 18 years of shooting archery and some tips and tricks and takeaways that have made me a better shot. And I wanted to do a video kind of breaking down the top 5 things that I think can help you become a better shooter and hopefully have a better hunting season. Number 1 is grip. So if you don't have the proper grip when you're shooting your bow, you're gonna have a lot of accuracy issues. If you've ever shot and you've seen an arrow kind of look funny when it's flying, if you have a hard time paper tuning, broadhead tuning, a lot of inconsistencies in your arrow flight, a lot of that has to do with how you're gripping your bow, and usually means you have improper grip. So when it comes to properly gripping your bow, if you look at the palm of your hand, you'll notice you have a line that runs right down the middle, going right through the middle of the palm of your hand. That's called the lifeline. Properly gripping your bow, you want to place that grip on the right side of the lifeline towards the bottom of your thumb in that meaty spot. That's going to be a good spot. It's going to be the least amount of torque that's going to put on your bow when you shoot your arrows. If you're down towards the lifeline in the middle or across on the other side, putting a lot of palm onto your grip, you're going to have a lot of torque issues. That's where paper tuning becomes a problem. Your flight of the arrow becomes a problem, is due to having too much of the palm on the grip. Another issue with gripping your bow that a lot of people do is tension in their hand. So if you're kind of white knuckling, really holding your bow tightly, or some people have their fingers straight up, all of that is putting tension in your shooting hand and into your grip, causing torque in your bow when you shoot. So make sure when you're getting into your grip that you have no tension in your hand. You want a very relaxed, comfortable grip. There should be no tension in their hand, no tension in your forearm. One thing I like to do when I get into my grip is I like to tell myself dead hand. I want completely relaxed, no tension, very comfortable grip. So when you're out shooting, it's important to be conscious of your grip every time you get in your bow, making sure it's on the right side of the lifeline, super relaxed, it's at a 45-degree angle, and that's going to mean more accurate shots, more consistent flight, and just better shooting overall. Number 2 is anchor point. So the key to archery is repeatability, being able to do the same thing shot after shot. And one of the main factors in establishing that is your anchor point. So having an established anchor point that you do every time in your shot process is going to ensure repeatability and consistency downrange. The thing I like to do is 3 points of contact when it comes to my anchor point. First being my release hand. I take these 2 fingers and split my jawline with these 2 fingers. That's my first point of contact. Number 2 is the string lightly touching my nose when I'm at full draw. That's my second point of contact. And then number 3 is the string barely coming across right here in the corner of my mouth. That gives me 3 points of contact that I can feel every time I get to full draw, giving me the consistency and repeatability that I need shot after shot. Number 3 is draw length. So it's super important that you have the proper draw length to maximize your shooting ability. A common problem and something that I personally went through was having too short of draw length. That seems to be quite common, and a lot of archers usually have too short of draw length, which is going to hinder how well of a shooter you can be. There's some indications that you can use that I've found that can help you tell if you have too short or too long of draw length. So the first indicators to look at to see if maybe your draw length isn't correct is the front half of your bow arm. If you have a super bent bow arm when you're at full draw, that usually means your draw length is a little too short. If you have a hyper extended arm, you can't even push any further out, that usually means your draw length is a little too long. If you look at this front shoulder moving up, if this is creeping up when you get to full draw, that usually means your draw length's a little too short. Now, if we start to look at your stance, when you're at full draw and if you're kind of bending back when you're shooting, your draw length's a little too long. If you're kind of creeping in, leaning forward, kind of crunched up, your draw length's probably a little too short. And then going into your back half, so proper draw length is going to be alignment. So it's going to be from your elbow to this shoulder to your front shoulder to your bow arm. That's all should be in a perfect line. That's what proper draw length is going to look like. So when you start to look at your back half when you're at full draw, if this elbow is kind of swinging out, your draw length's probably a little too short. If it's swinging the opposite way towards your back, you're probably overextended, your draw length's a little too long. If it's really high elbow, you know, some people kind of crunch in and have a high elbow, your draw length's probably a little too short. So these are some common indicators that you can look at when you're at full draw that are gonna tell you if your draw length's a little too short or a little too long. And this kind of goes into my next point, you know, number 4, which is filming yourself. So I think it's super important that you film yourself shoot, especially if you're worried about your draw length. That's going to be the easiest way to tell if there's any breaking points in that process. And you're going to be able to fine tune your draw length based on filming yourself and being able to see it on your phone or on the camera. So that's super important and something that I've been doing, and it's definitely made me a better shooter, is just filming myself shoot. I'm at full draw, the way I draw, my follow through, my execution, my full shot process, and being able to review that. Like I said, you're able to see some break points, some weak areas, things you need to work on, and it's something that I've noticed has helped me tremendously become a better shot. Number 5, my last tip is practice. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but you have to practice. Archery is so much instinctual repetition, muscle memory, and the only way you can build that up is if you go out and shoot your bow a lot. I know there's some people who say, I don't need to shoot my bow till right before hunting season and I've never had a problem, which there might be a few of those, but your chances of being consistent every time when you don't practice are not very good. Whereas someone who practices all the time, they have the built-up repetition, the built-up muscle memory, their chances of success in being consistent on every shot is way higher than someone who doesn't practice. So I highly recommend, if you want to be a better shooter, it's simple. You have to go out and shoot your bow. It's a very instinctual thing. The more you practice, the better you're going to become. Those are my 5 tips that I think can help you guys become better shots and hopefully leads to more success this fall. If you like this video or have any questions, leave a comment below. Also hit the subscribe button, and good luck this fall.